MotorWeek is made possible by Rock Auto, Tire Rack, and Die Hard.
Let's move on now to the world standard in sports sedans. You know, you have to almost feel sorry for BMW automotive engineers. How'd you like the pressure of knowing that every time you introduce a new model, it's instantly examined by every car nut and every other car company for even the tiniest flaws? Serves them right, of course, since they make the yardstick by which all other sporty sedans are measured. That's enough to keep anybody on their toes. And here we go again with this little number right here, the new 318i. This is the successor to the 320i, which just happens to be the most popular Bimmer ever made. True to the new BMW standard, they just didn't tweak up the old car. They've given us a total from the ground up rework. Were they fools to tamper with a sure thing, or is the yardstick now even taller? One look is enough to tell you that on the outside at least, the new BMW 318i still has a close kinship with its predecessor. The twin kidney grille is still there, along with the trim lines now made even trimmer. The new car shows lots of wind tunnel influence. Unfortunately, that seems to have hurt the personality of the profile. Gone is the reverse-angled grille and the front cornering lights that crested into the unusual over-the-fender hood line. The new car just looks a bit too ordinary, and dare we say it, almost too Japanese. Much better, however, is the transformation of the chassis. The coil spring-independent rear suspension was altered to allow less roll than the old car. Road holding on rough washboard and wet surfaces is much improved. You also don't have to pay extra anymore for a handling package on the baby Bimmer. And you need the still optional posi-traction rear end even less. While the purist in our midst preferred the oversteer character of last year's 320, the slight understeer tendency of this incarnation was appreciated by the rest of our group, and it should win points with the average owner too. The fine rack and pinion steering now meets the road through 14 rather than 13-inch wheels. One more reason for better directional stability and less tail twitch. While brakes showed less improvement than the handling, there's still few cars that stop as secure as a BMW. Despite consistent locking of the front wheels in panic situations, halts never varied from the straight and narrow. Tail swing was non-existent, and over 6 tries from 55 miles per hour, a short average of 128 feet was recorded. Such confident braking combined with great handling makes the new BMW 318i an easy car to master. And like all BMWs, mastering the interior is also easy. The front buckets now include a nifty height adjustment and swing forward for easier entry aft. They're very supportive and not overly hard, though the fabrics look less expensive than before. They reside in a cabin that feels more intimate than the old car, despite being slightly larger in all dimensions. And leave it to BMW for the first intelligent solution to rear seatbelt storage. Belt buckles that usually find their way under our fannies or disappear altogether under the cushions are neatly stashed in nooks in the seat backs. The dash is again typical BMW with big, clear needles and dials, but you don't get all the engine function readouts we'd like. What you do get is a constantly swinging fuel usage gauge. Also on board is a computerized service reminder that warns of needed maintenance based on how, not how far you drive. Continued too is a driver-canted center dash and console with radio, clock, and trip computer, ventilation controls, and a wonderful 5-speed shifter. And though we'd be the first to admit that the knife-through-warm butter routine is overworked, there's just no better way to describe speed shifting any BMW, particularly the 318i. It helped enormously in clocking a sprint of 17.5 seconds at 77 miles per hour over the standing quarter mile. But unfortunately, the 318's 101 horsepower and 103 pounds of torque comes on slow. Combined with a quite low ratio first gear, it means a pokish 0 to 60 time of 10.5 seconds. And for passing a 40 to 55 mile per hour time of 5.4 seconds in third gear, just doesn't live up to the car's total performance image. The problem comes from the fact that despite a trim weight of 2,400 pounds, you get only 1.8 liters of fuel-injected 4-cylinder to do the job. But take heart, a 6-cylinder version, to be called the 326e, just might make it our way within the next year. For 84, however, 3 more horsepower are being found for the 318, while actually improving fuel economy. That now stands at 27 city and 38 highway, according to the EPA, and at a quite reasonable 31, according to MotorWeek in our 100-mile economy loop. Another byproduct of the streamlining of the 318i is wind noise at 55 miles per hour. Actually, there isn't any, and a recording of only 68 decibels puts the Bimmer right up with many cushy luxury cars. But there's one major disappointment with the redesigned 318i, its price. With a base of $16,430, it's $3,000 more to start than its forebearers. And our $18,220 test car didn't even come equipped with such traditional upmarket touches as leather seating or power windows. You can find those on a lot of less expensive and only slightly less competent U.S. and Japanese competitors. Being underpowered and overpriced, the 318i generates a somewhat mixed consensus, but it's still a worthy addition to the BMW 3 Series line. We nervously await more power and hopefully a not too much steeper ticket, allowing this baby BMW to continue to be a car that all other performance sedans can look up to for a lot more than price.